Hey everyone, I'm Cahlen and I'm here with my buddy Jesse, a permaculture expert, and one of my viewers sent some Jerusalem Artichoke
Yes.
tubers, and basically we're going to be planting those today. So what is this thing?
Okay, so Jerusalem Artichoke is in the sunflower family, and of the plant families, sunflower family is a really good family to know because you can eat everything in the sunflower family. You can almost, in all sunflowers, eat all parts of the plant. This one, obviously, it looks not much like an artichoke, and it's not much flavored like an artichoke either. It's more of a tuber. So this is a root of a plant, and there's all these little corms off of it, and these will all make other plants. And it's starchy and, delicious.
So is it even in the artichoke family?
No, it's not.
Okay.
It's in the aster family.
Okay.
So
and then how would you normally eat this? What was the way you would use this specific plant?
good to bake or roast it like a potato,
Okay.
or you could boil it like a potato and use it very similarly in flavor. It's reported that the second day they're better because something changes about their sugars.
After you cook them?
Yeah.
And then are they annual, perennial? Or
This is a perennial plant, and this is what I love to grow the most of in my garden because perennials, proliferate and become more and more every year, or get bigger and bigger every year, and you always get more, and you don't have to constantly till and dig and replant, as you do with annuals. So, and they tend to have more nutritional density, more interesting like phytochemistry, medicinal phytochemistry and phytonutrients, and remembering that most of our grocery store plants were hybridized out of wild ancestors, annual and perennial, So, but this is a great plant to utilize in the gardens. We have a native one called Maximilian sunflower, which this is just the Helianthus family, the sunflower, Helianthus, like Helios and Anthus.
Sun something?
Sun and Anthus, like the anthers are also like yearly. It's like So, you can also use the seeds and the flowers of this plant. You can roast, the heads, like you can sunflowers.
Nice.
When they're green and young. But mostly people go after these tubers, and like I said, every one of these little corms here will proliferate another plant, and we have several more here that are starting to split. So we're just going to take these and pot them into some pots and get them, up and running pre-season here.
Yeah, it's too early to plant it right now.
We could plant it right now, but I prefer personally to get a root system developed on some of my transplants before I put them in the garden.
Cool.
So
all right, so let's take a look at that process.
Awesome. What we're going to do now is these are some old pots that I recycle from the nursery or from the previous year, and they may have like some funk in there, some old bacteria or fungi or stuff. So we got a little hydrogen peroxide, and we put it in our water, and we're just going to kind of clean up the pots a little bit. That will give the most advantage for the new plants, so that they're not trying to resist disease. So we'll start with that, and then we'll talk about this soil mix I have here. All right, so you can do this a number of ways. You can make your homemade compost and screen it and add it to maybe some native soil for your potting mix or your seedling mix. But just for on the quick, I went and grabbed some organic potting soil, and this is, you want to look for something that doesn't have peat in it for seedlings. I'm trying to do seedlings primarily here, and getting ready for spring, but we're going to use the same mix just to get these plants up potted. So this is high in worm castings, compost, and mycorrhiza fungi, and a little bit of like forest products. And this is compost with biochar and a little mycorrhiza, so we can start to inoculate beneficial microorganisms and creating the habitat for them. So once we get these into the ground, they'll kind of have a head start. So what we're going to do right now is just take a bit of this mix. It's got a little bit of perlite in it and stuff too. You don't need that, but it helps. And we're going to just fill these about halfway, just about. And we're going to take one of these tubers, and you can see this little end pointing up. This is starting to create it knows it's spring, so it's already starting to crack out of its, winter self. And we're just going to pop that in there, just like a rocket ship, and you want to plant it, 1 to 1.5 the depth, like if it's this long, we want it at least this deep.
Is it always that way for seeds?
Generally speaking.
Seeds and tubers?
Seeds and tubers or any, you want to plant it like maybe bulbs. They say you should turn it on its side and 1.5 deep for bulbs. So kind of just around there. It doesn't have to be precise, but you just want to get it thoroughly covered. And then you want to make sure that you don't want to press it in too hard, but you want to make sure it's not gonna just settle down and be too lofty at the beginning. And then we'll water those in. So we'll do the other 4 now. Might have to water them 2 or 3 times to get the whole mix nice and wet.
How long will it take before you think we'll see something?
Oh, I would expect it would be a month or something at this point. It's so cold still at night, and all the plants slow down. They go into a torpor when it gets cold, So there's a lot of things you can plant this time of year, and that's what I'm getting ready seedlings for. Greens, peas, beets, carrots, all that kind of stuff. But it takes a while to get them germinated, and then they grow slowly while it's cool. So I made a cold frame over there that I'm keeping my seedlings in.
Let's go take a look.
All right, so here we have a very simplistic cold frame that I'm just going to use for the next month or so to get these seedlings up and started. So in here I have my modules all planted out, and I just use some old yogurt cups that I just cut to be able to make tags for my plants.
So that's what, instead of spinach?
Yeah, this side's chard, this side's spinach.
How are you planting those seeds?
So similar in these, some of these trays I'm going to split so that it's half and half. I planted a lot of lettuce, a full tray of lettuce, but this is 72 cells, so I'm going to start with my winter greens and all that stuff, and then I'm going to cycle them out and start planting other, I think, tomatoes and chilies and stuff like that.
Each cell has, how many seeds of spinach would you put in?
Like with the lettuce, with the spinach I did 2, with the lettuce just a sprinkle, maybe 2 to 4. I try to kind of thickly plant them. Hey Sebastian, hi girl. I try to thickly plant them, because it can make a nice little floret, with a number of plants in there, as long as you're not dropping like 10 in there or something like that. So I fill up, the trays in those tubs, and then I dunk them in water so it pulls water up, it wicks water up instead of watering on top. And then I spray the top after I planted my seedlings, and like we were talking about, a depth of 1 to 1.5 times, the long edge of the seed or tuber. So then, Sebastian wants to live in here now, but excuse me, girl. Boop, boop. She's not gonna let me. Here, girl. You found something good. She's like, no. So we'll put those in there, and then this just rolls up. Okay, you're gonna go inside, kitten.
Oh, she's stuck now.
Now you're in there. And then you just put the glass over the top.
Where'd you get the glass?
This was just some leftover glass from. Now there's a kitten in there.
How do you feel about that, Sebastian?
Want to come out, girl? it's just the kind of thing that I'm always looking out for. I think someone gifted me this window and it broke because I'm, you know, making cob cottages and stuff like that, and I can always repurpose that kind of stuff. So I gather it up, you know, occasionally, and then I put it to use for stuff like this. And when it's done, we'll just peel this apart and use all this straw in the garden as mulch. So this is another way permaculture, you know, kind of hack, reusing things. So I just like take these old yogurt things or whatever, you know, hummus or whatever you got going, and you just cut them off like that, and then you got plant tags. So we can write Jerusalem Artichoke on all these, and we'll know exactly what's what in case we start amassing. Because the idea is here in the spring we're going to amass a bunch of plants we're going to plant out into the garden. So hope you got something from this. Hope you have a beautiful day.
Yeah, see you later.